morning. All right. It is 4th of July weekend, and it's smoking hot, just to make sure we did that right. But good morning, Crossbridge. As we get started celebrating, our country is celebrating 250 years. The cool thing about that is, I think today, even more so than when we started 250 years ago, is we still hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words are as important today as they were 250 years ago. Amen. So, now some of our European and Middle Eastern and Asian friends are saying 250 years. Yeah, that's cute. You're a tween. But go ahead and celebrate. I jest. I'm grateful to be born an American. I'm grateful to live in this great country. And even with all our problems and our issues, this great governmental experiment of government of the people, by the people, and for the people is something we should continue to strive for and continue to make happen. And I can't imagine being anywhere else in this world. I really can't. So happy birthday, America. All right, enough of that. Welcome to all who are here in person and everyone who's joining us online. It's our desire this morning, as it is every week, that you take one step towards Jesus today, because that's what we're all about here at Crossbridge. My name is Jeffrey Ziegler. I'm on the preaching team. I also they let me teach the CB kids. That's a good sign. And I help out a little bit with the building. Today we're going to continue on our Mixtape series looking at different Psalms. These are the songs of the Bible. Now, as old as I am, and I'm not quite as old as Carl, but I'm getting close. This may surprise you. I've never actually made a mixtape. I just don't think I have it in me to do that. But I absolutely love music. It moves me. And so the Psalms are very, very important. I mentioned earlier I also help out with the building. I'm on the facilities team, and I'm kind of handy. And I've done a little bit of work around the house. Now, I'm really proud of some shelves that I've made at the house. And this is a picture of them, those little, you figure it out. I built these shelves separate two spaces. It separates the living room from the dining room, or the kitchen area where we eat. And I don't know how erecting a structure can make more space, but it did. Now look, I built those. I measured the wood, found the wood, cut it, measured it, put it together. I know that thing intimately. Now, I didn't paint it. Mary Beth paints in our house, because if I painted, that doesn't happen. But I know everything about these things. I know that they're sturdy. I know how they're connected. And quite frankly, I like them. I build them. I know them. And because of this knowledge, I think I appreciate it more than if it was something I bought, right? Now look, I can only imagine that each of you has either made something, knitted, sewed, shaped, repaired, wrote, planted, painted, sculpted, whatever. You've done something, and you know it very, very well, intimately well. You know all the good, and the not so good too. But you're proud of it because you made it, right? And I'm not sure who else needs to hear this today. I certainly need to hear this song over and over again. But this Psalm 139 is just about this. God knows us intimately. That's what this psalm is all about. It also, because God knows us intimately, it shows how much He loves us and how He wants to lead us. So this psalm is written by our friend King David, one of Israel's greatest kings ever, historically. Can't really place it. It doesn't, it could be written when he was a young man, right? Just figuring things out. It could be written after he was a little more experienced during his life. It's not really specific to one time or another. But I personally think this is when David is looking back on his life. That's just my take on it. As David's looking back, if you think about it, I mean, David's a kind of a cool guy, right? But his whole life is laid out for us. I mean, we get to see everything about David, right? We get to see when he was, we get to see when he defied the Philistines. Like, who defies the armies of God? Like, he's standing there as a kid saying, who does this? And then he slew Goliath with one stone, right? We see that. We see him as a guy who is singing to placate and to calm his mentally troubled king. We also see him as a guy who liked his buddy's girlfriend, wife. He coveted her. He took her. And then he took his buddy and sent him to the front line to kill him. Right? Like, we see everything about David. There's a lot for David to look back on. And we get to see it all. So let's remember that this is a song. This psalm that we're looking at is a song. It's for the choir director, so it's meant to be sung. And it's meant to be sung with others of the same tribe. It's like a hymn or a worship song we sing today. It's meant to be sung over and over again. When we sing something like that over and over again, we meditate on the words. We think them through. We let them seep down into our very being. I used to direct a choir at a different church, and I remember we would sing songs for people. It took a little bit for us to learn. None of us were professionals, you know. But I remember we would sing a song, and then you could, as a director, I could see the whole choir. And I could see when the words hit. I could see the moment when all of a sudden that alto, all of a sudden she understood what we were singing about. And it's amazing to watch. So as we read through the Psalms, remember there's songs, there's things that we're supposed to, that we have to hear them over and over again so that it sinks in, so that it can hit us where it needs to hit us and when it needs to hit us. Now in this psalm we see three general sections. David first describes how intimately God knows us. Then he describes what God thinks about us and can love us completely because of that knowledge. And then as a result of how David wants to be led by God. Like many, the Hebrew poems and songs, the climax to this psalm is in the middle, and we'll get to that in a little bit. All right, let's dig in. What I find interesting in verses 1 through 5 is David starts with a series of factual statements about what he has seen and experienced with God. Let's look at together carefully. He starts by laying out the main idea, then breaks it down further. Verse 1, "O Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me. You know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do." He has examined what is in my heart, which biblically is the center of who I am. God knows everything about me. God knows what I'm doing, even the mundane everyday stuff, like sitting and standing. God knows my thoughts wherever I am, about what I want to do with my life, about who I want to be, about my partner, my friends, my family, my work, school, about what I want for lunch or dinner, or what sports team I follow, like the U.S. men's national team is playing at 8 o'clock on Monday night against Belgium, and I scheduled a building meeting at 6:30. Gentlemen, that meeting is not going to go long. Just saying. He knows what games I want to play. He knows what hobbies. He knows the books I read. He knows all of it. He knows what I think. Oh boy. It's going to get messy now. Nobody knows what I'm thinking. Well, God does. Even when I'm not close to home, no matter where I am or what I think or do, he knows. Notice that David is not qualifying the thoughts here. He is merely stating what God knows. Verse 4, "You know what I am going to say even before I say it. You go on before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head." Now, some of you are thinking, that's great. I'm glad someone knows what I'm going to say and where I'm going. I don't. Seriously, though, when we're getting ready to retaliate, to be sarcastic or sardonic or facetious, or we're ready to be loving and kind, when we're going to speak edifying words or appreciative words. God knows. When we're going to go respond to the Spirit and speak kindly to a person, or go to the hospital to visit somebody, or to be a greeter here, God knows. God sees what I'm doing when I'm home and when I'm not at home. He sees it. He knows everything. And let's not miss this. He places his hand of blessing on my head. Blesses what I'm doing. Now, this might sound terrifying to some of us, but not for King David. Check out verse 6. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. It's too great for me to understand. David is trying to wrap his head around the magnitude of that thought. God, if you know where I'm going and where I've been, what I'm doing and what I'm going to go say, it's just too much for me. I can't handle this. But David continues to explain how well God knows us. We can't get away from him. This is beautiful poetry here, coming up next here. This is David at his best, in my opinion, taking the logic to the extreme. These ideas should be set to music. This should be sung. I wish I knew what it sounded like. I mean, it could be set in a bright major key, right? Keyed for tenors, because that's the correct key to put it in. Not for the basses. All right, it's more accessible for the basses. Or this could be set to something in a minor key, a little more somber, a little more reserved. Maybe the pace is a little bit slower, right? We got to sing these things. I can never escape from your Spirit. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to heaven, you're there. If I go down to the grave, you are there. If I ride the wings of the morning, if I dwell by the farthest oceans, even there your hand will guide me and your strength will support me. I could ask the darkness to hide me and the light around me to become night. But even in darkness, I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as day. Darkness and light are the same to you. Friends, wherever, whenever, however we are, he's there. It's almost like he's an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent God. Heaven or the grave, he's there. At dawn, even if you get to the crack of dark 30, he's there. By the farthest ocean, he's there. Light or dark, doesn't matter. He's there. How reassuring it is to remember that there's nowhere we can find ourselves in this life that God's absent from. And as if this weren't enough, King David takes us even deeper. God also knows the literal inside parts of us. He made us. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion, as I was woven together in the dark of the womb. You saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. The insides of us, the outsides of us, what we think, what we do, we say, where we go, it matters not. He knows it all. I'm not sure what's going through your mind and heart as we look at all this, but I know for me, you remember that King David's life wasn't filled with all the best moments. And knowing that God knows everything about him, look at what King David says. God thinks about him. Verse 17, how precious are your thoughts about me, O God. They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand, and when I wake up, you are still with me. Now ponder this as David has. No matter where I've been, where I go, what I think, do, feel, or say, God knows how I was made, knows all the intents of my heart. All the intents of my heart. And he has precious thoughts about me. He thinks about me. He thinks about you. I can't list all of the beautiful, encouraging, precious thoughts he has about me. They outnumber the grains of sand. Now look, we're good Americans, And so we have to compare the size of things to other things. We can't just use any old unit of measure. So if I take out a quarter, it's not a bicentennial one, but it is a quarter. And if you laid out on top of the quarter, I read about this, I didn't try it. If you just laid out one level, about 2,000 grains of sand on there. 2,000 grains of sand. That's a lot on a quarter. Now, what does David use? I mean, that would blow my mind. 2,000 precious thoughts that he would have about me. But David says, no. It's like the sand on the seashore. So I think I've got a picture coming up here. This is the Ocean City Beach. Melissa was down there while I was working. I don't know how that's fair. This is one beach on the Jersey Shore. There's a couple more grains of sand on here than 2,000. That's just one beach. Think about all the beaches on the Jersey Shore. And we're not talking about, New York and Connecticut and Rhode Island and Massachusetts and Maine and North and South Carolina, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, Florida. Oh, we got to go around Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas. We didn't even talk about the West Coast, and there's that little state we have called Hawaii that's all sand. Think about the precious thoughts that God have about you. David puts that out there for us to remind us how vast these thoughts are about us. So the creator of all beings, all things, and all time, all space, thinks precious thoughts about you, and lots of them, more than you can count. I mean, how mind-blowing is that? I know the things that I think about myself. Some of them aren't so kind. God thinks precious thoughts of me, about me and about you. He knows everything about you, and after it's all said and done, after you wake up, he is with you. Think about this. I have to think about this for a second. He actually likes me. Like there's some people, it's like, hey, look, you're a Christian brother, you got to love him. God likes you. He wants to spend time with you. He wants to hang out with you. He wants you to spend time with him. He wants a relationship. He likes you. Got to let that sink in. Okay, precious thoughts. I can really only have precious thoughts about something or someone that I know really, really well, intimately well, because only then can I have seen the entire process, the whole thing, because I know what's going on. Now, this Mother's Day, we went to the beach. Stayed at my brother-in-law's house. It was great. I think we had like 4 days that all of my family was going to be off and available, and it happened at Mother's Day. So we go down. And the kids went out to the store to get something for dinner. It's fantastic that the kids can go out and get something for dinner. Anyway, when they came back, they had brought something for Mary Beth for Mother's Day in recognition of it being Mother's Day. And I hold a precious thought about this event, right? That they would think about their mom and make the effort to do something. So, precious thoughts, right? They thought to recognize their mom. They thought about what an appropriate action would be, and then they executed against that plan. I'm pretty impressed. Now look, they probably spent my money on what they did. But they had that thought and how they would make their mom feel to receive a gift from Mother's Day. They bought a really nice bouquet of flowers. It's fantastic. And because I know my kiddos so well, I was just super impressed with the thought process to get there. I hold this as a precious thought about my children. And that's just one example of my life, from my life. God knows everything any of us has ever done, every place we've ever gone. Look, he made us. He cherishes thoughts innumerable, precious thoughts innumerable about you. So what do we do with that? Well, let's see what David does with it. And what I'm about to read may surprise you. I know it did me. Verse 19. Oh God, if only you would destroy the wicked. Get out of my life, you murderers. They blaspheme you. Your enemies misuse your name. Oh Lord, shouldn't I hate those who hate you? Shouldn't I despise those who oppose you? Yes, I hate them with total hatred, for your enemies are my enemies. All right, King David, where are you coming from now? Truth be told, I never thought this fit in this psalm. How do you go from God has precious thoughts about you to destroy the wicked? Now, I discussed this with Pastor Jimmy at length because I struggled with it, and this is where I land. So think about it, and we can discuss it later if you want, just not today. David understands God's intimate and personal knowledge of him is too great to comprehend. He loves David, even when David doesn't deserve it. I think David is being a shepherd here with these words. He's being protective of God, if you will. Let's remember that David is both a shepherd and a warrior, a man of action. Shepherds protect their flock, if you recall, from lions and bears, among other things. Shepherds find the ones that go astray. David is very protective. He's protecting the one who knows him intimately. This is man of action language, expressing David's desire to align with God against those who offend God. And don't miss verse 19 that says, if only you would destroy the wicked. David recognizes God is the one who should be doing the judging and the destroying. It's important to see that David questions what he should be doing here. Shouldn't I hate those who hate you? David asks. Should I despise those who oppose you? David is careful to ask this, and rightfully so. Like David, we can't judge perfectly and righteously as God can. David approaches this very carefully. He is still a man of action, and he's hating what God hates. Always good to align with God on that. But he's definitely checking with God first before he's doing anything. David actually stops at opposing and hating. He's not slaughtering here. He's stating that God is the one who should do these things. He's just getting aligned with God on this and allowing God to lead him through this. So this sets up the final two verses. David wants to align with God on anything offensive in his life as well. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, Lord, and lead me along the path of everlasting life. What a line. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you. David doesn't want to offend God, and we should strive for that as well. Isn't it great that we can trust the one who made us, who knows our comings and goings, our thoughts, our words before we say them, that we can trust him to point out, that we can trust him to point out what we need to work on, so that we can allow him to lead us in the way that we should go along the path of everlasting life. Who better to ask, where should I go next, or what should I do next, but the God who created us? Because of how well God knows him, David wants to make sure he won't do anything to offend God. He is asking God to point out anything amiss in his life. And by the way, that's called sin, anything that might offend God. David is not looking or asking God to beat him up here. I think I ought to say that again for myself. He is asking for God to point out what he sees in David's life that doesn't align with him so that he can get aligned. Only trust correction from someone who knows you completely and loves you deeply. Only trust correction from someone who knows you completely and loves you deeply. Please hear me on this. God wants to let us know what offends him. It's important to him, but so that he can lovingly correct us, so that we can confess these sins to him and to each other, so that we don't do them again. Here's the great news. If we do it again and confess it again, he'll forgive us again. He loves us. What a beautiful invitation. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me along the path of everlasting life. Why? Because he still likes me. He loves me. He loves us. But this might be really hard to believe. I know I struggle with it sometimes. How can an all-loving, knowing, powerful God still like me? Do you know what I've done, Lord? Well, so here's 3 steps that I've been trying to take. So number 1, start a list of the precious thoughts God thinks about. Start a list of the precious thoughts God thinks about you. If you can't think of anything, ask someone who loves you. They can get you started. I'd start with God's thoughts about you found all throughout the Bible. Then think about what you do well, where you love well, even the little things. These are some of the precious thoughts God has about you. Secondly, ask God to search you and point out anything that offends him. Then remember, this is an invitation when there is something there. Confess it. Pastor Jimmy talked about this a couple months ago, month and a half, whatever, a few weeks back. And remember that we do that confession, we do that in community as well. It's important for us to do that together, to confess that. And then lastly, ask him to lead you along the path of everlasting life.